Hey,
Wait,
hi.
Leslie.
I'm
Hi.
just going to buy shampoo. Do you have
Oh, what
Pantene?
brand?
Pantene.
Um,
Oh
here,
my gosh.
here's the shampoo.
What's with the commotion in front of Evelyn's house? And what is the latest chica in the barangay?
Oh, you have missed a lot. We need to do some catching up, girl.
I know you've been itching to tell me what's going on with your rival Sari Sari store.
Of course, dear, but you only remember me when you're out of shampoo.
Hey, that's not true. Anyway, come on, spill the tea.
So do you remember that Evelyn worked in Japan? So, and then she's got herself a Japanese boyfriend.
Yeah, I know, but I heard her boyfriend is already married.
So that means Evelyn is a mistress, right?
Gosh.
So anyway, Kenshin, the Japanese guy, and Evelyn's brothers, Naldo and Bogart, ventured into the sari-sari store business, and they even registered it to the SEC.
What are they fighting about?
They are arguing on who should be in control of the management of the store, because apparently Bogart, being as his usual self as a gambler, asked a loan from Evelyn and used his share as a collateral for it, but now he cannot pay it anymore.
So, majority of the store now belongs to Kenshin, the Japanese. But as I remember, foreigners are not allowed to own more than 40% of the entire subscribed common capital stock, which violates the constitutional limit on foreign ownership here in the Philippines. And if I remember it correctly, in Gamboa, also a resident in this village versus Teves, and it was a case way back 2012, I think.
Since you've mentioned Gamboa, you may want to talk more about it over coffee. Let's go inside. It's so noisy
Oh,
out here.
sure. This sounds interesting.
Come on.
Oh, your house is so nice, huh?
Thank you, Leslie. So here's your coffee.
Thanks.
So going back to Gamboa, he's the
Yeah.
one who questioned the indirect sales of shares involving almost 12 million shares of the Philippine long distance telephone company owned by PTIC to First Pacific, right?
Yes, indeed. But when First Pacific's common shareholdings in PLDT increased from 30.7% to 37%, it hereby increased the total common shareholdings of foreigners in PLDT to about 81.47%.
I think I also heard about this from Marites because Manny is her father's cousin. She said that Manny is claiming that the meaning of capital in the Constitution has long been settled and defined as the total outstanding shares of stock, whether voting or non-voting.
No, there is no change in the definition. The court has not interpreted the term capital in the Constitution, and there has never been a judicial precedent interpreting the term until that time.
So if we considered Manny's contention, the control can be with foreigners even if they are the minority. Let us say 40% of the capital is owned by them. But it is the voting capital, whereas the Filipinos own the non-voting shares. So we can have a situation where the corporation is controlled by foreigners despite being the minority because they have the voting capital. That is the anomaly that would result here, right?
Yes, and 60% of the capital assumes or should result in a controlling interest in the corporation because money's contention would indirectly circumvent the main purpose of the law, which is to maintain Philippinization of public utilities.
So this would be in compliance with the Constitution limitation on engaging in nationalist activities must be determined by ascertaining if 60% of the investing corporation's outstanding capital stock is owned by Filipino citizens. If such investing corporation is in turn owned by some extent by another investing corporation, the same process must be observed and one must not stop until the citizenship of the individual or natural stockholders of layer after layer of investing corporations have been established.
And mere legal title is insufficient to meet the 60% Filipino-owned capital required in the Constitution. And full beneficial ownership of 60% of the outstanding capital stock coupled with 60% of the voting rights is required. So the full beneficial ownership of the stocks coupled with appropriate voting rights is essential.
I agree, but did you know, Leslie, that in 2011, the court only defined the meaning of capital as the shares with voting rights to elect directors. However, in 2012, the term capital is not limited to voting rights, but also beneficial ownership that translates to the effective control of corporations. That is also consistent with the Foreign Investors Act, Section 1B.
Oh, that means that 60% of the voting rights and 60% of each class of shares must be owned by Filipinos.
Yes, that's correct. Let's watch the news.
Ito po, sa mga mahilig magkalat ng chismis dyan, nako, abay hinay-hinay po. Sa Bulacan, nagrambulan ng ilang magkakapit-bahay dahil lang sa isang marites. Ano kaya?
Oh my gosh, I think I should go. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for the coffee.
Yes, take care.
Bye.
Meanwhile, one eternity later.